Master Johnson field here of Cobourg Taekwondo. You can reach us at cobourgtaekwondo.ca as well as over at masterjohnsonfield.com. In today's video, I want to talk about children in the martial arts and not allowing your kids to quit for at least 1 year in martial arts. When I look at martial arts and other sport activities that children do as seasons. So whenever a child signs up for soccer, baseball, hockey, lacrosse, gymnastics, dance, whatever it might be, and martial arts, but those other experiences mentioned, they always tend to sign up for seasons. Some of these seasons are a year long, some of them are 4 to 6 months, some of them are September to June here where we are here in Canada. When you have a child and they sign up for a particular activity for a season, they sign up for the full season, right? So if they sign up for hockey and they are on a hockey team, they are committed for that one season. And that's what it should be like when you sign your children up for martial arts. Now I look at martial arts season-wise as 1 year. That's how we tend to look at things in martial arts. 1 year, and each year has 4 3-month cycles depending on your school or martial arts style. But here at Cobourg Taekwondo, we have 1 year cycles, and those 1 year cycles have 4 3 mini cycles. So we think 1 year. The reason why I'm saying also 1 year, that gives your child an opportunity to test and go through testing cycles, at least 3, possibly 4, depending on what part of the year they signed up for. So to get a good taste of what it takes to learn the curriculum, to progress in rank, to have a sense of achievement, and to have many goals that they set and accomplish, right? Every belt rank, lower belt, is these are like little mini goals working towards higher belt levels, black belt level, and life skills and so forth. But we want to create this sense of, if you're going to commit to something, you're going to commit for at least 1 season or a full season. Also, we want to instill in children that when you're trying something new, it's going to be hard, possibly you're going to suck at it, it's going to be confusing, and that's okay. When you learn martial art, there's a lot of stuff coming at you when you first start. You have your fitness, you have all your different punching and hand strength, and blocking, kicking, stances, patterns, which are also two-player kata, weapons depending on your school, ground techniques, self-defense techniques, sparring. There is a lot being thrown at you, and even at one particular class, we've been covering 7 or 8 different areas of our curriculum. And at first I'm like, oh my god, this is very overwhelming, there's a lot going on. But that is no different than sending your child off to school. Like, let's say you take your 4 to 5-year-old and you send them to kindergarten for the first time. They haven't done preschool, you just send them right into kindergarten. They're learning a lot of stuff in that 1 year, the 1 year cycle, or 10 months of school. There's a lot being learned every day. And yeah, your children, your 4 or 5 years old, like, oh my god, there's a lot going on. Most of the time at that age, they just kind of go with the flow. But there is definitely children at that age where it's like, I don't understand what's going on, there's just so much coming at me. And you'll have children like, I hate school, I don't want to go to school, this sucks, etc., etc. But as a parent, what do? No, you encourage your kid to go back to school the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Because, quite frankly, school is good for them, as well as martial arts, and all the stuff that we teach, like the life skills, the self-defense, sportsmanship, how to build self-confidence, leadership skills, how to find yourself as a person and find what works best for you as a person, which is probably one of the best things about martial arts. It gives you many avenues to explore that. But going back to the whole school thing, depending on what part of the world you live in, here in Canada, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that you have to have at least a grade 10 education, if not grade 12. So let's just say that you have to go to grade 12. So you have grade 1 through grade 12. That's 12 years of education, plus 2 years of kindergarten, I think. So then we, depending on the laws here, that's 14 years if you did that. 14 years of school that you have to go through. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's what's happening, right? Otherwise you can't get a good job and so forth. 14 years of education. And yet people wanna, have their kids sign up for multiple sports and like soccer, baseball, martial arts, taekwondo, whatever, and they want them to try it for a month. Oh, they don't like it. Well, we can just try to do something else. If you are allowing your children to keep jumping from one activity to another at such a young age, that becomes a bad habit that will carry for the rest of their life, and they're going to have this habit of always putting stuff before they really get to learn about what that activity is. Now, I'm not talking about people trying different activities, see if it's for them. By all means, you definitely need to find what works best for you and what your interests are and your psychology and physicality and everything else. But whenever you try something, you do need to give it a good solid try, especially when it's something that takes a lot of skill and mentality and memory work to actually get somewhat good at it to see if you really are interested. Just doing it for a couple months, I'm not getting anywhere. A couple months is not a long time, especially if you're a person that does like one class a week for an hour or 45 minutes, whatever. You're not getting a whole lot. You need to stick with it. Now, this is your personal experience. So I've been doing martial arts since I've been 15 years old. So I've done it roughly 2/3 of my life, but a long time since I've been doing martial arts. But I've also done, from a young age, I've done figure skating, like low level to teach you how to skate. I've done competitive bowling, and I've done baseball, and I've done archery on top of martial arts. So I would say athletically, skill-wise, and being taught and done formally, not just on my own, 5 different activities. So starting with early age figure skating, when you're like 3-4 years, especially here in Canada, everybody learns how to figure skate or play hockey. At like 3 or 4 years old, you're basically learning the fundamentals of hockey without having a hockey stick in your hand. So I think I did that for a couple of years, and then my parents decided that, no, I have the basic skill and I wasn't going to be a figure skater. So that was kind of on them. And then I started, at about 5 years old, I started competitive bowling with here in Ontario, the YPC, which is the Youth Bowling Council here in Ontario, Canada. And I bowled from like 5 years old to my mid-20s, so 25, 26. I did bowling competitively for 21 years. I went through the whole YPC system of, I think there's like 4 different age categories. I've done tournaments all over the province of Ontario. We've done like 4 Steps to Stardom tournament, Family Twosome tournament, and Pro-Am tournament. So I've done all of that, so I know what it's like to be competitive there. And I know what it's, I also, for 5 or 6 years as an adult, I also, might have been a little bit longer than that, might have been more like 7 or 8 years as an adult. I also bowled competitively in the Ontario 5-Pin Bowling Association, again competing around Ontario, competing at high level tournament. Ended up with an average where I kind of retired from bowling because I had to really just focus on running the martial arts school and all the stuff that's involved with that, and traveling internationally for martial arts. Took up a lot of my time. So I mean, I did bowling for 21 years. I think my highest average was around 217. So on any given day, I was bowling at least a 217 per game, which is pretty decent, pretty high level. And so I stuck with that for, like I said, 21 years. So I know the value of sticking to stuff. I also did baseball for 1 season. I started the season and I finished it. And that was when I was like 7 or 8 years old. That just was not my thing. I like watching it, I like playing it at school, but as a team, it just wasn't my, I'm not really a team player in that retrospect where, you know, it just doesn't suit me. And I think just partially, just from my recollection, just the coaching style wasn't for me as well. Coaching has a lot to do with a lot of stuff too. And then later on, I also did archery as well. I did archery for a few years in high school, but yeah, I only did it for a couple of years just because basically our archery practices would be there's a target, shoot at it. We never really learned the proper stances, how to draw the bow, anchoring points, what arrow length, draw, strength, where to focus, recurve versus compound, how to set up your sight, distance-wise, and all that stuff. I think I went to like one tournament, and in our area, there's really like literally 2 schools in all of our area that did archery. So it's like one tournament between 2 schools. Our school always came last just because we weren't practicing properly. Our coaching style, I remember 2 things when it came to our coaching. I remember one part was the coach was talking to our only female archer, and the only thing he said to her was she might have to lean forward when she does it a little bit. You can use your imagination why, and try to think the other reason. I don't even remember really any coaching. Not until I became an adult on my own when we took up archery, and I do a lot of archery now, where I learned the anchor point, bow length, the draw length, the arrows, the type of arrows, how to hold the bow properly so you're not moving it when you pull back using back tension, setting your sights and all that other stuff that involves with archery. We never learned that. So I think for me, because not having really good coaches in certain activities, where bowling, we always had coaches. I literally had a coach through my whole bowling career, so I think that was a big deal as far as stuff that stuck with. I also remember as a color belt, my parents always paid for our Taekwondo for 6 months at a time. And I remember, I think it was our third payment coming up when I think I've done 3 belt testings at this point. So I was about just under a year. Now, we were coming up to our third payment for another 6 months, entering into my second year of martial art. And I remember my father telling me that, hey, your next payment's coming up. Do you still want to do this? And I actually thought about it a little bit, just when I was in, I don't know if I was still 15 or almost 16, or I just turned 16, can't quite remember now. And I remember thinking about it, and I actually seriously thought about it. And I remember also a family member, I don't know how they knew that my martial art membership was coming up, but I remember them kind of giving me a real snotty response to something about, well, you might as well just quit Taekwondo. You quit everything else because the novelty's running out. And I'm thinking, first of all, I've never done that many things. Anyway, I've done Taekwondo, archery, bowling, skating, and figure skating. Well, figure skating, I did out with my parents' choice. Bowling, I was still doing, because I'm only 16 years old, so I'm only about 11 years into my 21-year bowling career. I was still in archery, still doing Taekwondo, and I did 1 season of baseball and it wasn't for me. So really, I had ultimately for me, my personal decision to quit anything at that particular time was I quit one thing. And so it was never about novelty. Like I said, sometimes certain activities are just not for you. But what I'm talking about is sticking to something for at least 1 year, especially martial art. Give it 1 solid season to see if this is truly for you. Don't just quit, after a month or 2 because it's too difficult. I'm not physically fit. I'm confused. Whatever the reason is, why don't you figure out what the reason is and try to solve the problem or issues behind that reason? What can you do to resolve it, to make yourself better, so those are no longer issues. If you're confused, get some help. If you need to work on your fitness, work on your fitness. Come to classes more. Whatever. And also, figure out what aspects of the martial art that you like best and focus on them. Not every person loves sparring or kicking or a pattern. Martial art has a lot in art. When we teach Taekwondo, we have a lot of different things that we teach, and people are going to excel in certain areas. They don't necessarily excel in everything, because that's just how they're wired in your brain. So, give martial art a solid ear. I'm primarily talking to parents here for children. Give them the gift of 1 year minimum in martial art for the confidence building, for the leadership skills, for learning how to stick with something no matter how difficult and challenging it is. Like I said, we literally send our kids to school for 12 to 14 years. We don't let them quit. The law doesn't let them quit. Why are we letting our kids bounce from one activity to another, download it for a week here, a week there, try this for a class, try this for a week? No. If you're going to commit to a sport, you commit to a sport for a season. If you're committed to martial art, you commit to it for at least 1 year. It does make a big difference. 1 year makes a huge difference over a month of barely doing a couple classes or a couple months. Again, a solid year, I promise you, does make a big difference. Again, confidence, leadership skills, the ability to problem solve, the ability to persevere and figure things out when things are getting difficult. It also allows you to discover what you're good at or what the children are good at. So, if you agree with me, or if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.